If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Taves. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover. Thank you. It's hidden in the dots, you see. But here we are. Here we are. So glad people will still be coming on, but I so appreciate hearing from everybody. And I have a little bit of a message tonight that I'd like to share. But before I start on that, I would like to make my weekly book report. I'm a very fast reader and I love to read, and I've read 2 books this week that I would like to tell you what I read. One of them is called Dying to Be Me, and it's by Anita Moorjani. And then the sequel to that is What If This Is Heaven? And I'm recommending them because I have never explored near-death experiences. I've heard of them, but I don't know anyone who's had them. And I got this book, What If This Is Heaven? And that's her second book. And then I had to go and buy the first book, Dying to Be Me, so that I could get the testimony that Anita has. And essentially, I think I shared a little bit of it last week, but she has stage 4 cancer. She was 80 pounds. On her chart, her doctor wrote she's not expected to live through the night. And he was partly right. She died that night, but she had the opportunity to come back. And it's probably the most compelling and well-written account that anyone could do. Not that I have comparisons, but the fact is that she just takes you in that journey of what happened, how it happened, her reaction, and all of that. If you know anybody who has any kind of fear of dying or has cancer, any of those kind of things, or illnesses, this is such an encouraging book. Both of them are, because the second one, What If This Is Heaven, is documents very transparently and candidly her views on allopathic and holistic medicine. And she talks about the power of fear that's inherent within external health and healing modalities. And she has very strong opinions on them. And not only are we given an insight into the experience, but her thoughts surrounding how she believes she got cancer. And I know it's just, one person's view, but it really parallels and it really speaks to a lot of the things that we are experiencing and talking about consciousness. And she talks about staying in a mindset of love and knowing that if she continues in her fear patterns, she can put herself in peril. So it's really worth the read if this is a subject at all that interests you. So tonight, the message is really along the lines of some of the things that we've been talking about in the chat. It's so funny. It seems to be a frequency that's already out there before we even get there. But tonight is one that comes from a meditation that I was introduced to quite a while ago now. As you know, I've done a number of messages or lessons or whatever is the right word to call these evenings on meditation, and I've introduced you or shared, if I haven't introduced you, to different types of meditation. Excuse me. And so meditation has been something that I've really personally loved and personally have had as part of my life. And what And I try just about everything I hear about or see, because I truly, truly believe there's no wrong way to meditate. And like Todd last week, we were talking about meditation and how he deals with some of the things. And really he's a good example of becoming a meditative person. He may not set hours on a mountaintop with his feet crossed and in modalities, but he brings himself into that meditation. And what I wanted and is to come to a place with a meditation process that I could really, I'm going to use the term sink my teeth into, which isn't really a good one, but you know that what I'm trying to say. But that is so easy and natural that it does all the things that I personally have needed in meditation. For instance, that if there's something that comes at you that you really need to bring yourself into a higher frequency so you don't get trapped in things that happen randomly to you. And so I'm actually gonna take us into that tonight and hope that it helps you. But I want to lay a little bit of the land before we get there to challenge you and to have that foundation of why I got to that point. This has taken me to a point of not only intimacy with God, but a true releasing of all the lower frequencies that we talked about, the Dr. Hawkins map of consciousness chart, and how that he teaches that the lower frequencies are the ones that are constructs that are destructive to our well-being. Okay, when I say construct, I mean that's exactly what we do. We construct, like a guy building something, the lower levels of consciousness. They are not inherent in us. We're born with, and we are made by the highest consciousness there is. Some call him the source of all, our creator, divine intelligence, God. I call him Father. And the scriptures say that we were created by God, and that what God creates us from is created from himself. He creates us from himself. All of creation actually has that God particle in it. So scripture highlights the biblical perspective that God is inherently good, and that all of creation stems from him and that divine will. God is good, God is love. And there are so many scriptures, right? I've got a list. Psalm 34, taste and see that God is good. Psalm 100, Lord is good and his love endures forever. Nahum 1:7, God is good. He cares for those who trust him. Genesis 1:31. I'm going to say there's a little addendum there to Nahum 1:7. He doesn't just care for those who trust in him. He actually cares for us all, whether we have ever met him or not. Isn't that a good God? God saw all that he made, and it was very good. Whoever does not love doesn't know God, because God is love. 1 John 4:16, God is love, and whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. Ephesians, because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in trespasses. Why are we afraid of God? He is good, and his nature and very being is love. If we get nothing else in our life, he is love. He is good God. All the doctrines of hell, punishment, judgment, torment have created some kind of understanding. Like I was brought up with that God, with God, there's these rules, these regulations that have to be followed to achieve some kind of favor. To come into Christ or divine consciousness, we have to measure up to the standard that God has laid out for us. And you know what? this comes from different forms of religious constructs and cultures. And through the ages, even before Christ, in our biblical understanding, there was a hierarchy in place that humans had to come to or come in line with. For cultures forever and ever, they've created gods that have all sorts of conditions. There's so many inconsistencies in scripture. I'm beginning to question some of what I'm reading and exploring, and it's coming from a lot of the times where we as a community have said, well, what if, right? I don't know. We're not going to go in this direction right now, but I don't know about you, but I'm reading differently than I ever did. I'm asking why, I'm asking what if, and I'm asking at times who. Like when I read some of the Old Testament stories that there's an angry God, a warrior God, a God that kills women and children, that I'm going, okay, just a minute now. My measuring of God, my plumb line for who God is, that he is good and that he is love, does not measure at times. So I'm asking questions. I am really, really asking questions. Let's go back to the lower frequencies that we were talking about with in Dr. Hawkins' study. Where I have that book here somewhere. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's power versus force. He says there are 8 energies that are lowest energies. Okay, and I'm just going to go through them: shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, the kind of desires that are cravings and attachments to things or experiences, not your desire that is from God, anger, and pride. So that's 8 areas of our life. So what do I mean when I say we construct them? Well, we've been made in the image and likeness of God. We're his workmanship, right? We're created in him for him. Were we created with inherent shame, guilt, apathy, fear, guilt, cravings, desires, anger, or pride? If we were that, then these are also inherent in God. If they're inherent in him, then he has all these things like shame and guilt and apathy, If they're not, if they're not created in us, then why do we have such a reactionary effect in us? Okay, so let's start with shame. I'm not going through the 8. I'm just going to position us here, just so that we use some critical thinking. So we'll just think about shame. Where does it come from? It's not in us, so it has to come from somewhere. And shame is characterized by feelings of worthlessness. It leads to despair. Why do we construct it? And I believe it could be because we are presented with it by a person or a situation that we internalize. When we internalize it, we've held it up to something that we perceive another standard, and it comes from our lives when we're conditioned to certain ways of understanding. For instance, if a child jumps out of the bath, runs into the living room naked where there's other people, that child is carefree. They have no care for their lack of dress. But if it's an adult, we step out by mistake before we're dressed, we feel shame and people might laugh at us. So how does that come about? That little person hasn't been taught that this is a wrong thing, a bad thing, a shameful thing. But as a little person ourselves, we may have been taught or maybe reprimanded or even punished if we're not dressed properly, or we might have been told that nakedness is sinful. So it created a need to hide. And with that hiding, our feelings were constructed. And what we recognize as shame is because of that upbringing. It's in us somewhere. Guilt, grief, apathy, fear, anger, pride, all of those emotions are constructed within us, and they have a root in whatever was programmed into us from our upbringing and cultures. These upbringings, cultures, religious constructs enforce the feelings to be negative and destructive. And they were repeated so often that they stuck. And so when something comes at us, then we take that and we construct around the event the shame or the guilt or the fear or the anger. And that's an energy force. That's something that we allow in. If we allow that energy to stay in us and we live in the frequency of those emotions, if we continually refer to the feelings and give them a reason for existence, those emotions will become our reality, and it will take us into dis-ease or unrest or fears. It can create our fears, which of course we know becomes torments. Guilt and shame are very closely aligned, but they have similar roots. Fear is so common that many of us don't even realize the subtleties of how it works. In the book that I've just shared, that what if this is heaven, by Anita Moorjani, she shares her experience of how a friend asked her to come and visit this clinic where a well-known healer who specialized in all natural and energy and herbal therapies. Anita, by the way, is in Hong Kong. I lived in Hong Kong and is Chinese. So she has that cultural background as well. And her friend was worried. Now, Anita has been raised from the dead. She had a near-death experience. She was completely healed, stage 4 cancer. I think she was 80 pounds and healed rapidly when she came back to herself, being able to tell the doctors and her husband the things that went on and the people that she saw and all that. She came back, but her friend started saying Anita was looking tired, and she talked her into looking or going to this healer, this person, even though she had no signs of disease problems. And Anita began to second guess herself. Some of the thoughts were, I must be careful so my cancer doesn't come back. Maybe I need to see this person. And after all, she is a naturopathic practitioner, and the story is really interesting. Bottom line, after a length of time, Anita realized fear, one of the components that she explains to us for her illness in the first place, was creeping into her. She was constructing fear rather than knowing, because she knew that she was completely free from that disease. But now, because of circumstances around her, she started second guessing herself. And the practitioner, when she did go, tried to tell her for her to maintain her wellness, she would have to come for treatment and herbs for the rest of her life. So I'm going to leave the rest of the story for you to read, because it is really worth reading. But that is the lay of the land. And you know what? I have friends with the same mindset. They don't have symptoms or evidence of disease, yet they continually take treatments, products, protocol that cost a lot of money to believe that this is the way that they stay healthy. Is that right or wrong? It's neither right or wrong. Not that's, but what if there is fear behind it? If fear, which can be very subtle, then if fear is the motivation, then you have to take that back. We have to say, okay, Lord, what is my motivation? Because there's things that I know that Ed and I do that may seem to fit into this. We believe in fitness. We believe in certain supplements. We believe that eating properly, rest, all those kind of things are part. It's part of our lifestyle. So it may just seem like it's all part of the same mindset, and it is. But it's not coming from fear. It is, which is, as I'm saying, is really subtle. And anger can be like that too, or frustration. Fear can be very subtle, and it can bring on resentment and emotions that produce anxiety and lead to unrest or disease. The reality is all of these things are not in us. They're emotions. Those 8 things that I'm talking about, they are emotional things that we emotionally attach and construct. We allow ourselves to construct and to build within ourselves from our subconscious. When we do, they become like strongholds. You know, that like anger and fear and shame, these actually can become strongholds. The things that we keep referring to as they're there so long, they almost become normal. But they're the things that keep us from the higher frequencies and the higher energy levels, and the ones that we are really created to live from, because they are who God is. They come from that level of love and understanding and an enlightenment of who God is himself. The lower frequencies will become dim and are eliminated to the point they're totally eliminated when we begin to live from the higher energy levels that are positive. That's how I'm saying all this, to get us to that level of understanding that we can actually live in that place of love. We cannot live in fear and love together. They are not compatible. And we know perfect love casts out fear. We know fear has torment. When we live from higher frequency, where it's also where creativity is found, and where we begin to operate in the power that comes from God. In those lower levels, do you know that we cannot operate in the power that we are created to do? We can't do it. Now, if God is love, let's look at the power of love, right? In Greek terms, there's different kinds of love. The phileo love, which is the Greek term, is the one that signifies brotherly love or friendship, the human love. It denotes an affectionate regard of friendship, usually between equals, and it's usually described the kind of love between friends. It's the kind that are found in partnerships or in marriages. It's the love that's strong for a time, but it seems that there are conditions on it, or that are spoken. And it's the kind of love that can be there very strong for a while and then wane and then come back. The storge love refers to a familial love, which is the affection between parents and children. And I think it's particularly, I can only speak from a mother's point of view, but the love of a parent for a child is really powerful. It's very spiritual. And that's what this level of love is. It's very spiritual. It's the closest to unconditional love that you can have in certain ways. Mother's devotion for her child is without measure. And it doesn't seem to matter how difficult a child can be, or whether that child is struggling with addictions or gets into trouble. There's a feeling of pain that may feel at your distance, but your love for that child is still profound. And it's quite difficult to explain, but that child is part of you, and nothing will change that. It may vary, but it's always there. Losing a child surpasses all emotions that death brings into situations. There is also the eros love, which is the romantic or the sexual love. And do you know that it is not even used in the New Testament? We find it in the Song of Solomon, and we find it as an allegory for God's love for his people, but it also clearly reflects the beauty and intensity of human romantic love. Agape. I read, like, it's got to be 50 years ago, that the term, and I if someone comes across it, I'd like to find the reference, but I'm going to share it. I understood at one time that agape was not even a word that was coined in Greek until the time of the New Testament writings, because they needed a new word for God's love. It refers to selflessness, sacrificial, unconditional love. And it's also often associated with the love of God for all humanity. God so loved the world. It doesn't say for God so loved the people that are born again, spirit-filled, and this denomination. God so loved the world. That's all humanity. Divine love doesn't vary. It never changes. That kind of unconditional love is how he sees us. That's how God sees every one of us. We were having the fun argument saying, no, I'm God's favorite. I'm God's favorite. But it's true. You are absolutely, because unconditional love is probably the most difficult to understand. Maybe it's difficult to understand because we still have conditions to being loved placed on us, or at least felt that a person or persons had conditions on us, because we're used to, I will love you if you please me, if you get good grades, if you fit in with the whatever. We seem to have those. But those conditions are often not spoken, but we pick up the frequency of them at very, very impressionable times in our life. We learn conditions are part of being loved, and then we put those conditions on others consciously or unconsciously. Relationships can stand and fall in this dance. If we understand the importance of living from this divine love, we will understand that we are not judged, punished, or have conditions to being loved by God. We truly, truly are his favorite. And I believe there's amazing freedom, maybe more than we understand. And one of the reasons I wonder why we have difficulty with some scriptures, like, as he is, so are we in the world, or I have the mind of Christ. Could it be our lack of understanding unconditional love? And even more than that, could our lack of understanding that God has no conditions? I know I've said it 3 times already. I know that. But if we live from the place of good and bad, right or wrong, or from separation, God is in heaven and we're on earth, then we will intellectualize love and we will not live in it. How do you feel when you're walking in a forest or a park? Do you know that that's part of creation that God loves? Do you get mad at the trees because their leaves are falling and messing up your yard? No, you don't. You have this amazing understanding and love for nature. No conditions, no conditions. You just are embraced by it. You don't tell the fruit trees their blossoms are the wrong color. You don't watch you don't watch a rose and get annoyed because it withers or browns the leaves, and we just enjoy the process. Can you believe that you are perfect in his sight? Or do you judge yourself as imperfect and therefore unlovable? Or therefore, if I only get to that point of being able to be fill in the blanks, then God will love me. Divine love has compassion, empathy, and it connects with the one that we are in each other, the one that we are in God, in the divine. And divine love does not ever, ever create separation. God knows, divine love knows and understands that we are one with each other, with all creation, and with him all the time. There are no religious acts, no ceremonies, no rules, no regulations to uphold. These are the constructs of man. God created us to be in him. If there's separation, we do the separating. Now, as you know, I enjoy spending time in meditation. I choose various ones, and I've often chosen throughout the years the ones that are guided. I like guided meditations sometimes. Sometimes I just turn on some of my favorite voices and music, and I just go, oh, I can just sort of sit in the voice and the reality because somebody is guiding me, and I can just put my mind on things above, not on things of the earth. Easy, easy peasy. Heart-brain coherence, of course, is a go-to. Those that meditations that are specific to forgiveness, for peace, for rest. And somebody mentioned today the Ho'oponopono, which is the Hawaiian blessing meditation. Look it up, you'll love it. The one that is the gap. I've taught on that, or japa, where we've explored the options of breathing out just the names of God. When I came to a place in all of that, and there's so much more, where I began to feel that I wanted something more. I wanted to come into that meditative state, that meditative place where I'm participating, but I let Father take completely over. I wanted a modality a modality that takes us to a place of total rest, and in a place where my breath was me and I was not separated. I wanted a place where joy, love, compassion, peace, where my sacred self was at rest, regardless of what was going on around me. And what I want to do is to share, I call it the heart-brain coherence of an energy field that's completely and only I am. So it's not heart-brain coherence, it's that energy, to get into that energy field of the I am. The I am. Speaking to Moses, remember, God said his name is I am. Now he says, tell them that I am that I am. I'm going to say that again. God said, tell them I am that I am. The other one says, tell them, another version says, tell them who I am. But I sort of use that because when I read that, I went, oh my golly, tell them I am that. And when I rested in that, I am that. Well, what is that? Or who, it doesn't matter. I went to my mind movie and I went, okay, I know how to process that. I am health. I am wealth. I am wisdom. I am love. I am unlimited. And I went, and as I started going, I am that, so many different things, just in those 3 words. I'm going to come back there, but you know that Jesus didn't point to his death and dying, and he is our model for walking in divine love. He was angry, but anger didn't have him. When he was stoned, he asked the people, why are you stoning me? And he said, and the Pharisees, the people that were stoning him, said, we're stoning you because you claim to be God. And he said to them, is it not written in your law, I have said you are gods? Psalm 82:6 says, you are gods. You are all sons of the Most High. Do you notice that we're not separated? We are all sons. We're all daughters. We're having trouble with all these pronouns now, but this is who we are. We are children of the Most High. He's not talking to churchgoers or those in denominational beliefs. Often we understand that there are humans, there are people with higher status or potential in relation to the divine, as in churches where we have, the different ranks and hierarchy. But that's not who he's talking to. Philippians 2:6 says, who being in the very form of God, talking about Jesus, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God. 1 John 4:17 says, herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. And this concept aligns us with the idea that we are to be imitators, we are to emulate, we are to be like Christ, living in a way that reflects his love, his purity, and his truth. As he is, so are we in the world. And that calls us, not just the certain churches or those that are called Christians, that calls all of us to embody the love and character of Christ in our daily life. 1 Corinthians 2 says, I have the mind of Christ. So in this meditation, probably the simplest and the one that has brought more of a shift in me than any other is that simple, is to set a focus on, I am that. I am. Just trying to think right now. Should I just, what I would like to do is to do this with you, okay? I'm going to go back to gallery so we're just all together in the same room. If we can just, you could do this meditation any place, anytime. I have been doing it when I go to bed at night. I've been doing it before I get up in the morning. And then sometimes when there is time, I will just rest in this particular state of being. I'm calling it state of being. And it is the simplest thing, because what it has done is it's brought me into a place of understanding or being, where I am just him. I am that I am. It actually brings me into I am. And here's how it works. It is not complicated. When you just get comfortable, and like I said, you can be lying down, you can be walking, you can just, it becomes your breath, your life breath. And it's as simple as this, to breathe in very slowly. And as you are breathing in, say to yourself, I am. Only that, only I am. So you take a deep breath and breathe in, I am. Feel yourself fill up your whole being. Just imagine your whole being filling up, top to bottom, with I am. And now you're going to shift and let the I am that out. And instead of saying that, you're going to say whatever your that is. I am divine health. I am unlimited wealth. I am love. I am divine love. I am wisdom. The other night I was laying in bed doing this meditation, and I said, I had to stop everything, and I went, Father, am I the seven spirits of God? Like, really, am I? And I set my heart to, I am knowledge. I am understanding. I am. And so this I am that is wherever God quickens in you, whatever he says for you, you just release that. This is all done. You're not doing it out loud, you're doing it within. Now, when you do it may feel really, really awkward when you first do it, because you're breathing in, I am, and then you're saying again, I am, whatever it is, compassion. I am divine health. I am, whatever it is that you feel and see at that moment, you just release that. Sometimes what happens is you breathe in, I am, you breathe out something. Sometimes I have stayed in I am love 5 or 6 times. It just seems that's what I need to say. That's where I need the flow. That's what I need. And when you breathe it in and then you breathe it out in the I am that, then you come into the rhythm of I am that, I am. I am that, whatever it is, I am. Okay? Now, this is hard to do as a group because my breathing might be difficult, but I'm going to, not difficult. It might be difficult to synchronize because sometimes we breathe for longer times than others and rest for longer times. But I'm going to do it. And then if you can, just flow with me, just so that you get that pattern. It's such a simple pattern. I'm probably making it more complicated than it is. But let's just do it. All right, so you're comfortable. And we're going to start breathing. You take in, I am. I am divine love. Breathe in, I am. I am wisdom. I am in. I am compassion. I am in. I am understanding. In. Am. I am joy. You just take over, breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Peace. I am rest. Okay. Sometimes when I've been just setting my heart into this rhythm, into this pattern, what happens is that at first, sometimes I was looking for the word that I was going to say because I have this sentence to say. And then I realized that because I am one in him, I already have that. So sometimes it just surprises me what I say. And for the very first time after doing this for so long, I said one time, I am God. I understood it. I believed it. There was nothing that pulled at me, and I realized I am who he says I am. I am God. So I'll leave that crazy thing with you. Okay, how are you guys doing? Lady Rue?
Extremely relaxed. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. You know, I find I like of all the modalities of, setting your mind on things above, all those kind of things. When I started doing this, and it's really become my go-to, everything else disappears.
Mm.
I can actually go in very easily into that silence.
Mhm.
I can easily, when I'm finished, I am just in that place in him. I have no explanation for it. I couldn't teach it if I wanted to. It just is. It just is. So I really, if it speaks to you at all, if it speaks to, just give it a try. Give it a try. Gina girl.
Well, when we were just doing that, I was in it and following along with the words that you were saying. I am peace, I am divine health, I am. And then it was interesting because all of a sudden, it was, I was breathing in I am. And then what was resonating in me and what the Lord was telling me I am was a whole different word. And along with that word, it wasn't just the word, came the whole idea of it in my personal life, like in a flash. I thought, well, wow, that's kind of interesting. It was really, really pretty amazing.
When you said it came in an instant, did it stop the rhythm?
No.
No.
And in fact, I got more in the rhythm of it because now I'm fully engaged
Yeah,
because it's about me.
totally.
It meant there was some meaning, some meat, something behind it,
Yeah,
something that I understood. You know how you can have a thought and it's in like a nanosecond,
yeah,
and then it takes a half a page to write it out.
yeah, totally, totally, totally.
So that whole half a page was right there, because in it was personal.
Mhm,
It
mhm.
was something that I could relate to, something that I understood right then and there, because it was working in me already.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
really neat.
yeah. Since I've been just doing this, our life has been kind of interesting. We had a it's like situations in your life are being orchestrated where before they might have you may not have even noticed it. I'm going to give an example that happened this week. We had this was a goofy thing, but we put our cottage up for sale, the one that we have it's called the Beach House, and in the Jock just said, "I'm a white marshmallow." Yay! Anyway, we had this situation that we were selling this cottage, was ready to go, everything. There was somebody who wanted to buy it. Then the roof started to leak. Then the roof started to leak in a bedroom. So not only did we have to fix the roof, but we had to, at no small coin, I might add, then we had to go inside and rip out a ceiling and light fixture so that we could redo the whole thing inside. So it's not sort of one of your dream weeks that you want to be putting in. This took a lot of time, and anyway, but here's what happened. Within the week, we were sent people. We're in cottage country. It's very hard to find trades and people that will come and just do it. We found the roofer within one day. We found the person, two people that would do the ceiling and the electrical the next day. Ed took the ceiling down because there'd been a lot of water in that. We needed to have fans to dry them off, to dry out the cottage. So we're driving home with the intention of coming back the next day. We could not find a fan anywhere. And I said to Ed, well, I think I'm going to come back after we go home and bring fans and that. And he said, why don't we just go buy a fan where there's a store there, and then set everything up and then go home. Now, we were 20 minutes on the way home already, and then came back. Thought, great idea. While we were there, the guy who was going to fix the ceiling came and checked out what was going on, because all of what we had implemented, all of that now was 2 days ahead of time. And the people stepped in that were going to do it. And instead of the job taking a week, it took the weekend from start to finish. And I said to Ed, if we hadn't just gone with the flow and communicated and let it just happen organically without any, we never had a moment of the unrest in the whole thing. But it was like we're puppets moving along, just doing what God wants us to do, so it could position us for the time, for the people to be there, for the phone call to come in, for all the places and pieces to be in play. And we're finding, I personally, I could journal every day how those kind of things happen, whether I'm doing a writing, planning on something, things just show up. Yesterday, one more time, I was looking for the pen, and I walk to pick it up, and it's in my left hand again. I just call those like the loaves and fishes. You are wanting something to manifest, and it does. Odd things, but I'm really liking it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this isn't the magic bullet, guys, or anything, but you know what? I really I'm believing that when we set ourselves in that place of I am, and the rest of the world goes away in doing, I have never stayed in what I just shared with you. I've never stayed in it more than 3 or 4 minutes that I haven't shifted into peace, that I haven't shifted into rest. Something happens within the I am when you rest in it, that you become one with it. And that's why I really, really wanted to share it with you guys. It's quite amazing. Gina.
I've had some similar encounters, like synchronicities in life. And after I have chosen to be in the I am about that thing, about that event, about that desire, about that whatever, thing that I'm believing for, right?
Yeah.
Um, because positioning yourself and poising yourself in the I am, meaning I am that what? Define the what? Define that thing, right?
Yeah.
So once I define that for myself and I sort of put that in my heart, I am whatever that is. I've kind of solidified it in my brain and in my choices and in my thinking about it and in my maybe subconscious thoughts about it as well. So I position myself there, and all of a sudden in life, because I've decided not to be in fear about it, I've decided not to be in, well, what if such and so and blah, blah, blah awful happens? Or what if they say blah, blah, blah? What if the person turns you away? Or, all the reasonings that we can come up with, the fear, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's like pros and cons, it's fear.
That's right.
And so, because it's opposite to the I am, the divine person walking in that path, and nothing's going to stop me. And I'm going to get exactly what I know that I need because that's my portion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If I think, oh, well, yeah, I could go down that path and think that I'm going to get that and I'm going to look like a complete idiot because there's going to be egg on my face because that's ridiculous, because who's ever done that in the world before?
Mm-hmm.
Who's ever won that fight against coming up against some kind of pillar of society? So what? If your I am said I am that, then great.
Yeah.
That's what you are. But our fear, our reasonings are, well, you've never done that before. Nobody's ever done that. Who do you think you are that you can do that? All that stuff I really struggle with, because those are the constructs. Those are the things that stand in our way. Those are the big, huge edifices of buildings that we have to walk through. And why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If your I am said, I am that.
That's right.
And so that's been happening, and it's been really fun because prominent people in the know, doodly do with titles and stuff, say, well, that you could never do that because blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you'll never get close to that person to even talk to them because of blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, oh, okay, well, yeah, well, that's great. But I am this.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I going to believe? My inner heart that says I am that? Or the person who says, well, that's never happened before?
Right.
Or your thought, who am I to think that I could ever do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just yesterday came into this really fun engagement, divine appointment of synchronicity that I've been working on since last June, and plugging away and knocking at the door and blah, 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 and writing letters and, whatever, against the big systems of the world for a thing. And met the right person at the right time who understood my plight or whatever, my ask, my whatever it is, and had compassion on it, totally got it, and was the person who can actually do something about it.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, that's what I wanted. I wanted the person who could actually say and have the authority to say, we can do this.
Awesome.
So, wow, how fun. Okay, all right. It took me almost a year. Okay, yeah. But point is, oh well, I'm not in charge at the time. Not my gig, not my story, not my job. I'm in charge of just staying in the I am that, the end.
Well, and the other thing too, living from I am, or living from I am that, you could be, I am employed, I am free, I am, as whatever it is. You're living outside of time. You are not in a construct of time in I am. So
Right.
how good is that? How
Yeah.
good?
Well, and right there, even that, I said, oh, well, it took me a year. Well, so
Yeah.
what? But that was my judgment on it, right?
Right.
Like I was judging that whole thing.
That's
So,
great. That is
yeah.
that is great. Awesome. Awesome. Kathy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this tonight. It reminded me of something you had taught us or brought up in the past about the name of God Yahweh, and that it is the only one of the few words that you can say without actually vocalizing Yahweh, the breathing, like you breathe in Yah and out way. And so I've been practicing that while I've been on walks or been in nature, and just that's been my prayer, is just breathing the name of God. So doing tonight's is basically the same thing. I am, but adding that truth of my oneness with him, that I am, because we're one. And so I just really appreciate you bringing that. And so I'm going to add that to my practice in my walks and in nature, and wherever I can add that in. So I just want to say thank you for that tonight.
That's awesome. I really encourage you to get into the rhythm of that, and just to see where it takes you. One other thing that happens to me in it now is I lose track of the ability to transfer the breath. Sometimes I think I actually stop breathing, especially at the end of the day. It's I don't know whether I do or not, but I get into that place of I am, where the breath and the non-breath just it's just that moment of such silence and such an unusual place. And I'm not going afterwards at all. You just go into wherever that is. I just try it. Try it. You'll like it.
I've been also doing I did a meditation just using the energy centers, and part of that was to actually start your breath from your energy center. And so in the breathing, and the person leading in it was actually encouraging to try and do it from a couple of centers at the same time. And so even in practicing, I would stop breathing, like you're saying, and then I'm just trying to look for that initiation from deep within. And it was amazing how long I went without a breath as well. And just knowing that it's coming from your whole being. And so I'm going to add that too.
That's so good. Thanks, Kathy. Maggie.
Hi. Yeah. Also, Helen, thank you so much for sharing this supply with us. I have one word that comes to mind, is connectivity, because call it what you will, so what is it, serendipity and synchronicity. I've been experiencing that as well. But the other morning when I woke up, I had this time with Father, and I've been sort of talking to the Lord about healing, not just for myself, but for my husband as well. And I just felt that in heaven, the Father was reminding me that in heaven there is no sickness. So I said, this is where I want to be right now, in heaven. That's the place that I need, heaven. And as I meditated on it, I started saying, I am the word. I am the word. And then I was looking at John 1, the word was with God. And if I am the word, and the word says that he sent his word to heal us, then I am healing. And I've been sent to the world to heal. Okay, I might need to be healed, but the reality is I am healing, and I am here to heal. And so I said to my husband, we are healed because we are healing. And it was just such a revelation, if you like. But similarly, along the same lines as you've been speaking, and that's why I feel that there is so much connectivity in this tribe, that where you will be experiencing something, somebody else, thousands of miles away, will be experiencing something similar as well, because that I think that is the connectivity, that's joined, that oneness that's bringing us all together. In terms of what I see God doing, is phenomenal, because my husband was asked to stand down from work just after I got back from Missouri. So grateful for the opportunity for him to work. But the day that he had to stand down, his vehicle stopped working, and he had to wait for hours, and then eventually they said, just take the vehicle home, which is what we didn't expect that, but we went with it. So then my daughter had to bring him back to the site to collect his car. So they had to go and get petrol. So they walked into the petrol station. We call it's a gas station for you guys. This person that he knew, he'd worked with before, said, what are you doing? I've just been laid off. You're working with us. He hadn't even, his feet hadn't even touched the ground, and sure enough, he started work on Tuesday. So we had 2 weeks clear a break. We took a break, and that was perfect as well, because my daughter went away to Guyana and left her children with me. He was going to be supposedly working, but because he was off for 2 weeks, he was able to do all the school runs, because that would have been me. And and he spent 2 weeks supporting my daughter and did all the things that I should have done. And I just stayed at home and did all the cooking and cleaning, all that sort of stuff. But again, that was just, when I think about what's happening and what's happened, I just think, this is, you can't write this. He's sending me picture messages of him eating, his lunch. And that's all because the job that he's got is in a film studio. So this is where he is now. He's in a film studio and he's shunting people around all day, but he's getting his breakfast, he's getting his lunch free, he's getting his dinner free. He's got petrol, he's got a brand new vehicle outside the house that he used. I think it was it Jake said, I gave a testimony before, and Jake said, this is just the beginning. And Jake, you're right, you're absolutely right. It is just the beginning. What God is doing in my life, and I know it's because of where we've been taken with all of the classes and just learning to rest, but it's just phenomenal. So again, like everyone else, I'm bowled over, thankful, grateful, and just want to keep on doing what we're being taught to do. So bless you all. Thank you, Helen.
That is the most outstanding testimony, really and truly. It just the whole connectivity, serendipitous movement, and you can't make it up. You can't make it up, really. You didn't even have time to worry.
Because, like I said to you, this is when we was on the trip, I said to you, after you did your talk about the map of consciousness, and do you remember I said to you, that's old news now. What that living in those lower frequencies, fear, anxiety, it's no longer who we are. No. We are love, joy. We're climbing. And so all of this stuff, and I know we dip and dive from time to time, it's life, but we know where we're meant to be now. And you can't change that now. It's too late. The horse has bolted, basically. We know too much. We can't go back. And I just feel that I'm so excited about what's ahead, because I no longer have to sit in shame. And believe you me, I can see where it's creeping in during the day, but I have the consciousness to say, that's not where I live. I ain't camping there anymore. I've got a new home. I've got a new address. I'm heading up. I've soared up to, where is it? What's that point that where you sort of start to strive?
Zero point in
in the map of consciousness when you begin to then start to turn. I can't remember.
Courage.
That's the one. That's
courage.
the one.
Yeah.
Yes. So we get to that point now, and yeah, we're going to dip and dive from time to time. But as long as we know who we are and where we're meant to be, we've got, it's fine. I just say to, feelings of shame, I just say to it, this isn't who I am, and I just look for ways to get myself up into those high levels. So I'll bake, like this today. Yesterday I baked a cake for work colleagues, and they loved it. And I baked a cake for Pat as well. And it just gives me so much joy. Joy. These are the places where I need to come. So that gives me joy. I'm going to do a lot of that, and I'm going to get out of those levels, and I'm going to just talk to myself and say, this isn't who I am, and I can choose. That's the big word. I am choosing where I'm going to live. And that's enough. Thank you so much for listening.
No, that's not enough. That's the essence. That's the reality. That's the backbone. That's the plumb line of, when you get that courage, you recognize that you don't have to look backwards unless you're going that way. You have the opportunity, but and they are all these constructs that we so easily have in the past allowed in. There's a no trespassing sign now. Totally. Oh, Caroline.
Hi. I'm slightly outside on a porch. If you can hear a noise, it's some roadworks outside, so I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to say, I don't think I told you this story at the event, but just very, very quickly, and I'll cut it down. I won't have the impact, but that won't matter. About 2 years ago, I got really, really, really angry at life, and so I took it all out on God. So one afternoon, I was on my own in the house, and for about 20 minutes, maybe 30, but 20, and I'm not even ashamed of this, I just threw a tantrum. Did I tell you this? Did I? Oh, I threw a tantrum at God, and I blamed him for everything that you could ever blame, everything that I considered wrong in my life. I blamed him. But the worst bit was I screamed until I couldn't scream anymore. But even worse than that, if you think you know every swear word in the world, I called God that. I told him he was a this and a that for 20 to 30 minutes, screaming and screaming and screaming at God, the ones that people go like this in church with and fall down on. I'm screaming at that one. It was so bad. And at the end, my final words to him were, I cannot speak to you how angry I was. And my final words to him were, well, that's it. I said, we're finished. And I said, more than that, never, ever expect me to repent for this, because I'm not even sorry. And I can't stand you. I hate you. I honestly said all those things to him. And then I felt pretty bad, but not bad about God. No, I didn't ever feel. To this day, I still don't feel bad about it, because something good came from it. So I went to bed that night, still pretty angry. And I swear to you without a word of a lie, somebody, and it was not my husband, somebody came. Physically, I felt me, and I'm lying on my side, being spooned. You know that term they use? I'm being cuddled, yes, Ed, from behind. 3 nights in a row, this amazing peace came and the spooning. And you know what? I do tend to get emotional with this, but from that point on, and then it faded off after the 3rd night, it never came again. But if anyone tells me something that God did that was tough and hard, and judgmental and blah, 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 I say to them, and I now say it, oh, that might be your God, but that's not my God. Because my God loves me, and more than love can be. So I just I tell people that story because it's a shocking story in a way, and across the religious mind, it cuts pretty sharply. And that's what I call unconditional love. And that's the end of that story. So, and one quick one that happened this morning, I was parked. It's coming into winter here and it's been raining. I parked somewhere and my car got stuck and it shouldn't have. And so I tried. So what did I do? I just thought, no, I've got all the angels everywhere. So I just maneuvered around and then finally I got it out against all odds, got it out. And I thought to myself that God is like that motor. He's always in us. And sometimes things don't work. And I have to and I feel very stuck. And I just have to, I've got the power. I've got the wheel. I've got the engine's not going to do a thing on its own. I have to start it up. And so I got the car out with his power. And it's like that in life with me. And, meditation might not work. I might get stuck with this way, but then Helen presents another way. And, that gets me out of that rut. It's amazing. And one last thing is, when I was a child, every time it occurred to me, but I had no idea what it meant. Every time I used the word I am, and it would be like, I'm going swimming, or I am doing this, children. I noticed something happened inside me, all in my chest and all up, came this amazing feeling. It was like this, something happened. And it took it years. I was like 12 or 13 before I realized. And then it wasn't until one day somebody said out of the blue, take all the I ams out of the Bible and read them every day. So I did that for a period. We all go through patches of trying everything. And I noticed, every time I said I am, I went into almost like closing out, And that's why I say, I don't know if this is for everyone, but for me, it's a phenomenal pair of words. And it's the power. It's the power in the vehicle. And I can direct that into anything. I am health. I'm driving the I am, if you know what I'm trying to say, in a non-arrogant way. Anyway, thank you for listening to all my stories. I will now close the door. And thank you.
Love.
No, don't close them. Don't close them. That's outstanding. Thank you for your transparency. And thank you for the good laugh that I needed tonight too. This was very, very, this was tonic. I think you just illustrated how incredible God is, right? How incredible unconditional love is, how he loves us in spite of ourselves. And I'm so grateful for that testimony. It was tonic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Kathy, beat that.
Well, I'm not going to because I just put my hand up for Lana.
Did you?
So Lana's on. Yeah.
Okay, Lana beat that.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, so I love this. Caroline, thank you for being so real.
Did you just disappear?
I think she somehow disconnected.
Oh,
Like
Lana.
she's gone. Oh, I wanted to hear what she had to say. Maybe
Yeah.
she'll jump back.
She'll try back on. That's good. Aren't we absolutely magnificent in our differences, in our just the variety of how how he's put this community together, but how much we are loved in this whole thing. And personally, I want to get into that understanding reality of I am. I don't want to go in and out of it. I want it to be the main deal all the time. And when you were saying that about when you were a little person, you had an understanding of that I am. I read somewhere, I think it was today, where that those words I am are our first understanding of ourselves without knowing it, right? That is what we say when we say, well, who are you? I am. Lana, we're waiting for you to come back.
Then I disappeared.
And you
Okay, so long story short, I just love how real you were, Caroline, with regard to your story. And you made me laugh because all I was thinking was God was saying, that's my girl. Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun lately, and I just say I'm following the bouncing ball. Because like even as simple as 2 days ago, I was thinking about how when my upstairs neighbors moved away, and that really I hadn't connected with my neighbors next door, and they're great neighbors. Anyways, so we just happened to, they're out walking their dog this evening, and I'm dropping, like I'm just coming back and parking my car. So we had a chance to have a 10-minute visit. And you know what? It was just perfect because it was just that reconnection, right? But I have to go back a little bit to tell you this story. I can't tell the timeline exactly, but it was probably about 6 months ago, maybe more. Anyways, we had the I am health, I am wealth, I am wisdom, I am fill in the blank, I am limitless. I would have to go back and look at it to realize I kept forgetting about love. And I love everybody. I have been known to put everybody else above myself, and love them and not love Lana. So the awesome part in this entire story is I never forget love anymore because I started to love myself to the point where I work on a dementia ward, and I'm able to look into the eyes of these people, and I know that I am looking into their being. And so I get to speak into the I am, and I see them light up. Now, it doesn't mean they won't be yelling a few minutes from now, but you know what? Like, I mean, like there's a heart connection happening that never happened before, or maybe not to the degree I'm seeing it now. Now, I'm not saying I don't still have a lot of understanding and things to do on the current ward that I'm working at. But I have one lady in particular who can be very, well, I think she's just a bit of a grumbly personality and has been her entire life. And all my coworkers are like, she's violent, she's aggressive, she needs to be medicated. And it's like, no, she just needs to be seen and know that people love her, and she'll be cooperative because I've seen it. Anyways, that's been my fun story, but I'll never forget I'm loved ever again.
Lana, you just brought up a really important thing for us all to be aware of, and that is the importance of loving ourselves, right? Like truly to love ourselves, because when we do, we can love others.
Yeah.
It's not in reverse. We can't keep sending out something that isn't inside of us. It has to, for us to give something away, it has to be in us to give, really,
Mhm.
truly.
And I didn't realize how I was drawing from an empty well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I would get I am, I was like, and then I'd look up love. Seriously? I keep forgetting that. Anyways, it was quite a lesson.
Yeah, that's awesome. But thanks for the reminder. That's really good. Really good. I often wonder when I sit in this modality, why it is sometimes that I don't seem to get another word other than I will say I am love, I am compassion, I am, and I realize it's for some reason that I'm doing that. That's larger than myself. It's in the I am, but I just stay in it till I'm released. And it could be health. It could sometimes I'll go from, I am health, and then I'll go, I am divine health. And then that speaks at a whole different level to me. And then I am, it's just a wonderful connection. So thank you for reminding us to be I am love. So good. So good. Well, some people have gone to bed. Can't believe Maggie isn't in bed. Maggie, I wasn't going to share this openly, but and I'm still not going to, but Maggie wrote the sweetest poem, Maggie's poetry, and sent it to me. I actually couldn't sit and read it in one sitting. That is how profound your words are. And Maggie, thank you. You have a beautiful gift, absolutely beautiful. You are beautiful. Nobody believed that you're a grandmother anyway. Can you believe she's a grandmother? Yikes. I know. What a great
But I have a poem that I wrote for when we went to Missouri. And I don't know if it's maybe another time I can share it with the group, just as a kind of like a snapshot or, a picture of
do
the experience.
you want to do it now?
Yeah, if that's okay. For me, it's just remembering. I like to remember because I think we had such an amazing time.
Okay.
And, I can't get enough of memory of that time. So I just love everybody on this group that went or didn't go. We just had an amazing time. I look at you now and I see Bev and I see Ed and I see you all in different lights now. I see Gina, you are crazy. That's okay. Kathy, you're amazing. I just love you all. You're just amazing people. And anyway, let's just read this. It's called The Meeting of the Hollywood Squares. So as I stepped onto Cedar Creek, I had come to learn and to seek what the Father had set aside for this collective bride. And as I walked towards the gate, who I was greeted by unseen greats who were eager to welcome happy conferences and those desirous to align their energy centers. The gatherers hugged with arms open wide, whilst others stood in solidarity across the tide. But for those who encouraged and confided, intended and decided to let flesh meet flesh and embark upon an awesome quest, yes, they stepped through Yeshua's heart, allowing each to bring their part into the whole, to bring restoration to mind, to body and soul. An adventure of discovery, a wondrous place of recovery, with heart-to-heart embraces and with many kissed faces, where men in white linen served courage to the willing. For the land we had chosen to stay is where angels are committed to lay, where conversations are held with the land in an accommodation so meaningfully grand. This Jacob's ladder indeed will ensure we get more than we need. And for the one whose name means garden was so welcomed, our beloved Carmen. She always wanted to meet in the flesh. So in my heart, I made her our honorary guest, followed by a surprise visit from M, a beautiful and priceless gem. This event marks the union of a tribe who had moved from Hollywood squares onto Cedar Creek chairs. And how can we forget Cindy Lou's class of profound exercises on the grass, followed by Gina's personal training, who laid hands on Lana, her hips reframing. If there were words to express how North met South and East met West, alas, quantum words will suffice alone to describe the meeting of this tribe. So with Jody on keyboards and Miles on sandbath chords, they open portals for those above mere mortals. Kim Whitman expressing the Father's heart, and Helen, who wowed us with science and charts. Furry Maggie's playfulness, and Greg playing soaking at its best. We use the days to dismember, to let the Father help us remember, to experience contraction and construction, followed by high frequencies of production, as we were taken apart bit by bit until the oil of our lamps were lit. We were shown who we were and what we were there to incur. We were shown who we will be and how we can serve him intently. So let him reassemble. Let him cause us to tremble at our future awesomeness and as we ascend gracefully on the map of consciousness. Yes, thank you for listening.
Well,
that was my account.
I'm
That was the
I'm
one I
done.
talked.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my golly.
Oh, Maggie, you're so amazing. I love you. Your gift is out, like, I don't know, out of this world. It's not of this world.
No, it's not.
It's in this world, and thank you for bringing it. Oh my goodness. Ugh. When are you coming back? You come and stay in my house in this very room. There's a nice big bed. You can bring your husband. I don't care. Just come.
And if you get tired of Gina, then you can come here.
No, she's not going to get tired of me, and we'll both come.
I'll get tired. I can never get tired of you, Gina or Helen. Yeah. Don't say that if you don't mean it. Don't say that to somebody like me, because if I say I'm going to do something.
Oh no, I am honestly and genuinely inviting you to come.
There you go.
And Maggie, if you're coming to Australia, come and stay with me in Melbourne.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, God.
And whoever wants to come, that invitation goes to all the squares.
To everyone.
Yeah.
And both ways, you guys can come here. Pat, I saw Pat just the other day.
Yeah,
so
that's
anything's
true. We can do that too. Yeah,
anything's possible.
that's right.
Good
point.
The world just got smaller.
To Chicago, yes, we can go anywhere. Yeah, I think we'll be planning something. Who knows what that's going to look like? Wow. Well, you know what? I run out of words after listening to Maggie. I think it's just such a beautiful place to rest in our hearts. And Maggie, you were just such a gift. Thank you so much. Do I have the copy of that? Did you send a copy? I know I have a verbal, but
I will.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
You.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Kathy said, thank you for remembering.
Well, how could I not? She's so close to us. She's so with us, isn't she? So how could I not?
Yeah. Wow. Well, you guys are outstanding. Thank you for showing up tonight. I know that no, I love you, love you, love you, and may God bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine on you, be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and grant you his perfect peace, his shalom. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Amen. 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 All right, team. I'll see you next Wednesday.